Hello everyone, this is Katrina Dillow, and this is my respiratory system for Integrated Science 2. So before we begin, I want everyone to take a great deep breath in and a great big deep breath out. What this video is going to talk about is how your body has the capability to do that activity. The body is an intricate and complicated system of organs, muscles, and tissues. One of the most important jobs that the body has to do is to supply the body with oxygen. The system that accomplishes this task is called the respiratory system. The system is comprised mainly of the nose, mouth, larynx, bronchi, lungs, and alveoli, as well as the bloodstream. The main passage of air entering the human body is the nose. The mouth is a backup in case of such incidents as a stuffy nose. Within the nose are small hairs. These hairs will grab any dust or any other particles and into your nose along with the oxygen. Farther in the nasal passage, the oxygen is then moistened by mucus and warmed by capillaries. This is also where the smelling cells will catch any odor molecules. The oxygen then travels to the pharynx, and then through the larynx, otherwise known as the voice box, and then through the trachea. The trachea, also known as the windpipe, has rings of cartilage within it to keep it from collapsing. The trachea then branches into two pipes called the bronchi, and then lead into the two lungs. Within the lungs are many bronchus that branches into smaller and smaller tubes. At the alveoli, where the oxygen goes into the body, and there are about 300 million alveoli, which are tiny sacs that are at the end of the smallest tubes. At the alveoli is where the oxygen goes into the body and where carbon dioxide goes out. Surrounding each alveoli are capillaries, which are tiny thin-walled blood vessels from which molecules are exchanged between blood and body tissues. This exchange occurs by a process called diffusion, which is the movement of molecules from an area of high concentration into an area of low concentration. Over 98% of the oxygen that travels in the blood travels by way of a protein in the red blood cells called hemoglobin. The oxygen then travels via the hemoglobins in the blood throughout the body to the many cells. The process is then repeated except in reverse. The cells will distribute any waste, carbon dioxide, in the blood, which will then carry this waste back to the lungs. By process of diffusion, the carbon dioxide will then travel into the alveoli, into the bronchi, up the tracheae, the larynx, and the pharynx, and then out through the nose and mouth. In order for either of the just mentioned processes to occur, there needs to be a force that will cause the air, oxygen or carbon dioxide, to move in the direction wanted. The force that moves the air is caused by the sheet of muscle called the diaphragm. The diaphragm will contract when the person inhales. This contracting will make the diaphragm to flatten and therefore cause more room in the chest. Along with the diaphragm, the muscles in between the ribs also contract, causing the ribs to go up and out of the body, also causing more room in the body. Due to this action of more room but the same amount of pressure, air is sucked in, and thus oxygen can enter the body. When the muscles of the ribs and the diaphragm relax, the chest then gets smaller and the air is pushed out and the carbon dioxide will flow out. So why is such an elaborate process needed? Why does the body need oxygen? The answer is simple. The body needs the oxygen for energy. The body uses the process called cellular respiration, in which the body combines food and oxygen to make the needed energy. An example of when the body combines sugar and glucose and oxygen to make energy. The following is the chemical reaction, and thus the body uses the energy to accomplish the different tasks required of itself. So how is this intricate system formed? At about 5 weeks, a developing embryo within a mother's womb forms the buds that will grow into the lungs, and at 8 weeks, the bronchial pulmonary segments which consists of the left upper and lower lobes, and the right upper, middle, and lower lobes are formed. By 16 weeks, all bronchial airways are formed. In between the 16th and 25th weeks, the canacular stage occurs. During this stage, the part of the lungs where gas exchange occurs is formed and vascularized, which is the formation of blood vessels, as well as the growth of the capillaries. From about 26 weeks until birth, the alveolar walls start to thin. The sacs continue to grow and will become adult size at 5 weeks after birth. Due to so much development, a mother who smoked while carrying the child and or after she gave birth can cause respiratory illness in the child. According to one study, the more a mother smoked during and or after pregnancy, the higher the percentage of the child having a respiratory tract illness. Not only does a mother's smoking cause damage to a child's lungs, but also to her own. According to a site, healthmade.com, nearly 600 approved harmful chemicals and substances are present in cigarettes. These would include such toxins as carbon monoxide, acetone, hydrazine, tar, nicotine, ammonia, cyanide, and formaldehyde, as well as many other substances that are created once the cigarette is lit. Such harmful substances are the causes of many cancers, including lung cancer. Approximately 90% of lung cancer deaths are directly linked to smoking. Chronic lung conditions, COPD, are commonly associated with smoking. Smoking is very detrimental to the respiratory system. The respiratory system is very critical to the human body. It accomplishes the task of taking oxygen out of the air and into the lungs and through the whole body, as well as taking unwanted waste such as carbon dioxide out of the body and into air. The intricate process is needed to give our body cells the energy that we need. The formation of the needed organs for the process develops, just as the rest of our body develops, within our mother's wombs, as well as after we are born. If damaged, especially by smoking, the respiratory system cannot accomplish the vital task of giving our bodies oxygen, and thus the human body cannot function and will eventually shut down. The respiratory system is a true marvel of the human body. Here's my works cited for the PowerPoint, where I got all the pictures. And the following is the paper I read off of during the video. Here's also the link to the document, in case you wanted to use it that way. Thank you everyone for listening to my video, and I hope you learned a little bit more about the respiratory system.